referencing the modern day book written by me, Reverend Susan Me Lang, starting in chapter 7 on page 160. Idaho, Eastern Oregon, and Eastern Washington in 2017. During the last aspects of that year for 2017, in reference to my Medal of Honor art project pickups, I went to the rest of Western Washington and Southern Idaho, Western and Southern Idaho, Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and Nevada while staying in the LeGrand Hotel at the Roadway Inn. And then I was also going from Idaho, from the Silent Hill Cemetery and Moscow Cemetery, to then where the Medal of Honor recipient was in Eastern Oregon, and there were a few odd occurrences, despite the fact that I find that movie Silent Hill to be a comedy and not a horror movie. That's an irony of ironies in that regard. I was driving the rental car, the Mazda hatchback. There were quite a few bugs on the road when in Oregon that kind of looked like bigger locusts than I've seen pictures of before. And the bugs were so big when they bounced off the tires, it sounded like rocks hitting. Whatchamacallit? Oh, and the floorboard of the car was hot when driving. When I went to where the Noble Medal of Honor recipient was, I pulled the car over to make sure I was in the correct area, got that particular Medal of Honor recipient, and then went on. In reference to electronics, it's not unknown that you have cameras in your video game systems. I mean, how would you be able to do the Wii and that sort of stuff without that? And there's no sense in hiding because of the various aspects cherubim ones when in public. Don't forget the technology companies that you use and do stuff with. So if anybody had posted videos without my permission in reference to my Medal of Honor art project from personal recordings, because I did not at all give anybody permission to go with me or record me at all. I will pause real quick and state the aspects of, I had been involved with an Amazon show for improv in reference to, it was originally going to be called Guardian Assholes, and I was never contacted, even though the director, producer guy, Joey, had said that he would contact me on my cell phone, but never did, which I found out later there was a viewing party that I was not invited to because Joey said that he was going to contact me on my cell phone and never did. And there were people at one of the bars that kind of looked like Jason Renee's bitch, is what he went by on FetLife as, and Renee, or Matrix Renee, walking around outside with a camera recorder, which I did not, again, give anybody permission to have anything to do with. I asked about it, but I didn't give permission, which is a very big difference, because I, being the way I am, would demand it to be done in a specific way. And if not done in that way, then there are issues that obviously came to be because I did not give permission for that. Be careful what you wish for. And, whatchamacallit, I never received any checks from that at all, like I should have, apparently. But apparently also there were certain issues in reference to that show continuing on because of whatever excuse or whatever of the labeling aspect, as far as I was told by Joey several years after. And I did not approve of a lot of different aspects. Though I did do the workouts in a corset, and yes, it was a spiral steel boned corset with 8mm steel boning and heels. At the workout place. I did not give permission to anybody. It was not discussed with me where I would. And in order for that to occur, I'd be the only one in charge of telling the cameras where they could and could not be. I would be the one in charge of that, not somebody else attempting to make the rules that they didn't have the right to, because it was not their Medal of Honor art project, it's my Medal of Honor art project. And in order to be respectful, that would have to be done in a specific manner. And I am a dominant sadist, so hypothetically speaking, if somebody chose to take it upon themselves without my permission to do so, with my knowledge of for each location, I am not going to divorce you from my dead ex-husband at all. I would not give permission without my direct involvement of each and every aspect. So, if somebody attempted to falsify documents, or change wording of, again, not going to do that. Because the contract I signed, and only on one page, I only signed a piece of paper on one page. It was not done in the way of doing a contract when you purchase a car or contract when you move into an apartment complex. It was multiple pages. I read through them, and nothing was beyond in reference to the Guardian Assholes show. And so, if there were documents that were changed, I would guesstimate there's probably some legal aspects that would be extremely important for that. But no, I did not and would not, because of the aspects in reference to my Medal of Honor art project being sacred. And because I would have to be the one that chose the individuals who would be a part of that. And if the guy, Joey, decided to do that, my question then would be, did you get the licensing to go out of the state of Washington? Probably not. If you chose to change the paperwork illegally, I only signed one page, not the 5 individual pages. And I would guesstimate there would be some severe problems with that. Not just the ramifications of the spiritual aspects. And if that's the case, which would be very bad. Very, very bad. Again, I did not give permission. Reason that people could take as a pattern of behavior is I did not do, granted, I don't know how to do selfies at that time, but if it was important enough to, I would have tried to figure that out. Because of the fact that I did not attempt to do that, that lets any law enforcement agency understand that the portions of that part of my Medal of Honor art project were not allowed by anybody. Yes, law enforcement, that's one thing, but I would guesstimate Joey and those individuals of probably are not law enforcement. And so, if that were the case, that the documents were changed out, because if I'm not mistaken, for a contract, you're supposed to sign each page. I only signed one page. Yeah, that occurred, hypothetically speaking. And if, hypothetically speaking, Matrice Renee and her bitch, as he labeled himself on FetLife, were to have utilized cameras illegally, I did not give permission. I wouldn't. The only individuals I'd give permission to would have to go through my approval, and they would have to be law enforcement and military only, because of the nature of the project. And so, reference to Amazon's Jeff Bezos, obviously I did not give that permission to that particular contractor or anyone of, because it was nobody's but mine to do. If I wanted pictures, maybe, hypothetically speaking, when my son went with me to Montana Vortex, I would have said, hey, take a picture of us together doing this stuff at the different cemeteries. But that didn't happen because that's not allowed. And you could even look in reference to Holy Scriptures in in reference to the Medal of Honor Art Project trips, in reference to you're not supposed to see that until I am ready to bring it forward. So I did not give anybody permission to actually do it. And if part of law enforcement checking on that, there's that. And I bring up Joey because it was really weird to me that when I had gone to meet with him, a word that I used in reference to the date and time, he had asked me when at the fondue place if I thought it was a date. And that was a problem. Instantly. You could almost say that triggered me to be extremely upset. Instantly. So, no, I did not give anybody permission to be a part of my Medal of Honor art project. No, I did not invite anybody to video record any of that by my standards. No, I did not invite anybody to do stuff with me, with the exception of showing my son certain things as far as the Montana Vortex and what was supposed to be also showing him the Tibetan Buddhist monastery, which I didn't get to because of that red Hyundai in Montana. And no, I obviously won't change my mind because, you know, I didn't give permission and it was done in the past. And I'm not going to change my statement because that would be a lie. And again, in reference to my Medal of Honor art project, I had a specific way it had to be done. So just because I asked a question about it, that was not an invitation. It was not a contract. And I did not sign any contract that would allow that. So this is a statement for law enforcement, so that way it is known. Although I guesstimate they figured that out because I am extremely particular and I would not allow anyone that I did not personally verify, not just from military aspects, but I would have to interview each individual personally before I would allow somebody to do that. Now, I understand in law enforcement aspects, that is obviously a different point. But I also knew you cannot make a profit in reference to finances off of that without certain permissions. And in order to do that, so for example, there's someone who's doing a Medal of Honor video footage thing in Hollywood or whatever on Netflix. That individual probably got permission to do it with those Medal of Honor recipients by using whatever channels to go through the military. I wanted to complete a certain amount for going forward and contacting individuals. An example would be the letters I sent out in 2019 because of having certain standards to meet my requirements. So, no, I did not give permission before then in any form of writing, and because I realized that I have been dealing with stalking in that way by those who did not have my permission to do so, I have not continued with the project because obviously justice needs to occur. Because obviously there was disrespectful stuff done in those areas, and I am not happy about that. I'm not the only one. So I'm just going to leave this video where it's at, and post it, and then I am going to calm down as best as I can.